Hi, I'm Aaron Garcia. Welcome to episode 6 of Conversations with Aaron. Show where I interview local artists, garner a few recommendations from them, and highlight their works. Today's guest will be Sinea.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, dude?
Hi.
Yay! Okay, cool. Make yourself cozy. Oh, there you go. Make sure the chair stays or whatever. I say this every episode, but I just like the guests are like, oh. Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much for being here today. First, the most important question that I think everybody should be asked every day of their life. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm pretty good, dude. Very hot. This weather doesn't like me. My hair is all fuzzy, as you can see.
Unbearable heat.
Yes, very. But yeah, I'm doing pretty well. Thank you for asking. So now we'll get into it. Photographer. You're a photographer. That's pretty awesome. So I just want to ask, like, what was your introduction to like photography? Not necessarily like the art, but just photography itself. Like, as a child, like, did you use like disposable cameras? Like, how did you grow to become like fascinated with it?
I've been like doing photo projects and like video projects ever since I was a kid, just with my friends. Like, we would do them for fun. I was big on the MySpace era, so I would make like dumb
awesome.
Little edits.
Okay, great.
And we got into it that way.
Okay, awesome. And how did that like the MySpace like funny edits? How did that evolve to, you know, what you do now, which is like, you know, that really like sort of like awesome art and whatnot? Was that gradual? Did it seem like that's where you were headed to, or did something happen to where you're like, instead of just taking pictures, I'm gonna make art? Like, how did that happen?
It definitely gradually changed from like goofy to more serious. But like even in my art now, like there's still aspects of childhood in it.
Yeah.
So it's definitely related.
Okay, that's awesome. And if I may, if you're comfortable with me saying, you studied like photography, right? Like in school.
Mm-hmm.
How is that? Because, you know, there's this sort of thing with, you know, the arts, like, you know, you can't teach art. It's something that you sort of like do.
Yeah.
Can you tell me about your experience doing that? Like the pros and cons of like being in a educational setting or like a scholarly setting, like pros and cons of that?
I think it was definitely worth it to study photography, but also mostly because I did it at UNT, and UNT is like a great school for fine arts.
Shout out.
But yeah, there wasn't like a lot of teaching, I would say, about like how to do photography. There was more so like you go out and shoot your own work and then present it as a series, and then you get like critique all the time. So like you learn ways to improve, and I learned about a lot of other artists, which helped me, you know, showed me inspiration.
Yeah. Curvian, you said critiques, and I want to ask about that. Like, how is that, like, being critiqued or giving? Well, I guess we'll start with like being critiqued, and we'll flip it, because, you know, I say this a lot every episode. I feel like I should stop, but as a filmmaker, you know, I get critiqued a lot, and you know, I know it can kind of be daunting, you know, like kind of because you're really sort of like putting yourself out there, you're kind of exposing yourself in a way for the world to see, and then, you know, people can kind of be brutal and whatnot. So how is that, getting critiqued? Like, is it?
It's very nerve-wracking.
I bet, yeah.
To make something and then stand up in front of it the entire time while a whole class stares at you and just like talks about it for 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, very nerve-wracking.
Oh my goodness, 30 minutes, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, and then you have to do that for like every single class for all the years that you're here.
That is, oh my goodness. Well, you know, speak some, were there some like good times you can recall, like some critiques that went like really well, where everybody was just like, oh my, like, ay Dios míos, like that is an amazing photo, like.
No,
yeah.
they almost always went pretty well. I can't recall any times where anyone was like super mean. There was one time that one person said that like my photos were exposed too high, but that's just my style. Like, I really like using like a bright flash, so it was intentional.
Oh, groovy. That person. No, that's awesome. Now let's flip that. As a critic or a critiquer.
Critiquer?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, like critiquing work. How is that for you? Like, have you done that often? Because I assume, like, you know, fellow photographers. Like, do you do that often? Like, do people kind of come to you like, hey, can you critique my work? And are you comfortable with it, or do you feel like, oh, I don't want to hurt their feelings, so let me be nice? But are you pretty good with like just straight up giving critiques?
I am a very brutally honest person, so I have to try to like add a buffer. Try to be very sensitive about my critiques. But something they told me in school is that you should definitely take advantage of like the critiques that you have, because once you graduate, you're not really going to get any more feedback. And I would say that that's probably true. Since I've graduated, I don't really get any feedback on like what to improve. So
okay, groovy. Since graduating, how is that? I mean, I guess it's, because again, like a pro about school is that you're in a setting where you can like do your photography. You have projects, so you're actively working and whatnot, and away from that, you're sort of left to your own devices. I assume. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
How is that? Is it liberating at all, or is it sort of like, dang, I wish I had some like structure, because like now I don't take as many photos as I'd like to?
I definitely wish I had the structure. All of the prompts that school gave me like prompted like a bunch of different ideas of like stuff that I can create. Yeah, but it's a lot harder to just do it on your own, especially when you have like a different job and you work like full time, because then you just have to do it like on your days off.
Okay, groovy. And with regards to like photography and whatnot, I want to ask about like, okay, I'm going to say this word correctly. I rehearsed it yesterday, the day before. Exhibiting. Yeah, I said it correctly. Exhibiting your work and whatnot, and like showcasing it. How does one get to that point? Is it as easy as like hit up a museum, or just you hit up someplace like, hey, I'm an artist, can I put my work up? Like how does that process work?
Well, it depends on where you're trying to show your work. I do like a lot of local like pop-up shows from like other local artists who get a bunch of people together. It's definitely hard to get your work into like an actual gallery. I think I asked about the process one time, and they told me that they only accept like established artists who have been working for like 20 years or so. So as a new artist, I think it's pretty hard to do like official stuff. But yeah, I just hear about it through social media, through friends. There are plenty of shows you can apply to online. You just like submit your work and then an admission fee, and then sometimes people choose you. Okay,
groovy. And tell me about your experiences. Have you done pretty good with like selling your prints, like your images, like? Because I assume that's what it is when you exhibit, right? You're not just showing them to show them. You're hoping that like someone will be like, hey, yo, here's crumpled dollar bill. Here you go. And like, it's
definitely both. I like to like have a series that I'm showing, and then I like to have like a bunch of prints from like past work that I sell at the same time. But yeah, no, I end up selling a lot of prints. So.
Okay, groovy. And if I can ask, because I haven't been to a lot of like galleries or like shows or whatever, but I've been to a few, and sometimes as I spit, I've seen some or whatever, and sometimes like I see like a photograph and like the price is like really high or really low. As a photographer, as an exhibitor, how do you choose like your price range? Or like, do you like, is it, I'm new, therefore I'm going to start lower? Like, how does that work? Because again, sometimes I see a picture, I'm like, $2,000 for that? Like what? Like I just don't get how it works. And granted, I understand that if you're in a gallery setting, people are probably prone to like spend that much. Yeah. So, I get it. I'm poor, like I get it. People have money and they do that sort of thing. So they're, but I'm talking too much. Yes.
Yeah, I have a few things to say about that. So for the most part, I price it based off of the audience that I'm going to be selling to. Like if I were doing like a local Denton show, I'd probably make it more cheaper because it's like aimed towards students, towards their budget. And then if I was doing like a bigger show where I know that like art collectors are coming in, when you set your work at a high price, it shows art collectors that like it's something to be valued, and they like spending a lot of money on art. It's like an accomplishment to them. It means that they have something like exclusive. So that's why people price their work like that.
Okay, groovy. And it's like the idea, like I'll take a selfie, price at $10,000, they buy it. They're like, yes, we had this amazing selfie.
You'd be surprised.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome. And so I want to talk more about like you kind of getting into photography and whatnot, because some of the pictures we'll see later, which I'm very excited about. There's one picture in particular that I can't wait to talk about. That I looked and I thought it was like really like kind of funny, but then I suddenly got some like emotion, like some nostalgia, some sadness for it. That's probably not true. You're like, Aaron, you completely misinterpreted that. But I just want to ask like about when you take an image and whatnot, again, because your work is so awesome in that like it's very like stylized and whatnot. What are the reactions you're hoping that viewers will get from it? Are you hoping for reaction, or are you just like, I'm just doing my thing, whatever happens, happens? Or are you aiming for that like certain reaction?
I really don't think about how other people are going to perceive my work. I think that that's how you stay the happiest as an artist. You just do whatever you feel like is your calling, and if other people decide that it's good or cool, then that's awesome. But I do like to get strong reactions to my work, like confusion or just any strong reaction is good.
Good, okay, someone shrieks at it. That's awesome, and kind of a question I want to ask because it's probably like a very, you'll probably spend like 2 words on it, but just, I'm kind of a nerd when it comes to like digital and like film and whatnot. You have experience with both, yeah? And so tell me, like, is there like a big difference? Is there a preference between the two?
I think if I could, I would definitely shoot on film with my flash, but it's a lot harder to do so because when you have like a flash, like you have to make so many adjustments and you can't tell how the picture's turning out.
Good, okay.
But it definitely looks better. Like all the colors always look better. But digital is just much easier for me to make mistakes. So
yeah,
I like to shoot
and I
digital.
assume that's what you started on, right? Like a digital camera, and then you just sort of. And tell me about the equipment you've used throughout the years. What did you start on? Like once you started taking photography like seriously, I suppose. What did you start with?
I, even in college, had this camera that my dad bought me when I was in 7th grade.
Nice.
I used that for like most of my work for like from like 2018 to
You're
20.
speaking so like bashful, like use this little camera.
Well, because it's funny. It's just like this really crappy beginner camera. It's not a professional one at all. But I don't really care about camera equipment. I know there's a lot of people who are like super big nerds about their equipment, but I think you could really shoot on anything. If you know what you're doing, like it can come out great. Like you could shoot on like a $10 camera. It would probably be great.
I completely agree with that, yeah.
So I used that for a long time, and then I decided to upgrade to a higher quality one. I always use Canon.
Shout out.
And then I'm pretty simple with my lighting techniques. I just use a flash, like I said. It's just like this little attachment that goes on your camera. You can change the brightness, and it'll like completely light up the scene, and it changes the way that like everything looks.
Yeah. Again, I'm a huge fan of it. And tell me, how did you come to liking that, I guess, like aesthetic? Did you just one day have a flash and you're like, ooh, that's cool? Or was it a conscious like, no, I'm gonna do a flash because that's what I'm seeing in my head? Like, can you talk about that?
I feel like I was drawn to very like bright works, bright and grungy looking like works when I was younger. I used to use like Tumblr, so I'd see aesthetic photos all day long. I like that. And then when I was at UNT, my teacher had us do an exercise with external flash, and then that was when I realized that I really liked it, and I wanted to change my work to that.
Good, okay, groovy. And you mentioned like professional equipment and whatnot, and something that's, again, it's cool that like, cameras have gotten so advanced that like, just a regular person can like buy one and immediately like just take like great images because, cameras have like just become so advanced. And I want to ask your opinion about that because, there's so many photographers now. I mean, just hit up Instagram or whatever, you'll see like, people can buy any camera for any price or whatever and get really good images. How do you think that challenges a photographer to like stand out? Like, do you think it makes it harder just because there's so many people taking so many great images? Is that even something that you feel like a photographer need to worry about? Like just like being able to stand out through that, like.
Yeah, there's a difference between like going viral on like Instagram or TikTok and like going viral in the art world. In like the social media world, it's not super important to stand out, I would say. It's very easy to like create a picture that everyone's gonna like. More so in like the 2017 era, there was like this guy named Brandon Wolfell, if you know who that is. No? Okay, well, he was like a really popular photographer for a minute, and he would just like shoot girls all the time. He would have like them in the focus, blurry background, and they had like, I think it's called bokeh, like all those lights in the background. And it was like kind of bluish. That was like really popular, and literally anyone with a high quality camera could like recreate that, and it was a big thing.
Bro, you didn't trigger me, but you just got me thinking of like the iPhones now. They have that setting where it's like, we're gonna blur the background.
Oh yeah.
Like, I hate it.
I don't like it very much.
It's just so like I don't know. Is marginalized the right word? It's just it's I don't know. I don't like it. It's disgusting. But all right, let's move on from that horrible subject. No, that's really cool. And what's kind of in store for you? Like, I mean, are you just gonna be a photographer? Like, would you like to move into like cinematography, or like does that interest you at all?
I am obsessed with cinematography. Like, if I could direct a film, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Nice.
I definitely do both. I think I'm more drawn to making films. I just don't have like very many opportunities to do so.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, anything creative directing, any of that, I would definitely like to do.
You heard it here, folks. Hit up Sinea for any of your cinematography needs. Cool. And can you tell me about like any inspirations you have? Because again, like photography is completely, film, I'm decent in, but photography, like I'm dumb in a lot of things, but especially photography, I don't know like a bunch of photographers. So can you tell me about like your inspirations, like whether it be just, styles or like certain people or movements, like?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I have like two really big inspirations. The first one is like more so my old work that's very like colorful and like pops. His name's Ren Hong. He was a Chinese photographer, and he used to shoot photos of his friends. I relate because I like usually use my friends as models all the time since like they're more comfortable with me. Yeah, he would shoot his friends like doing weird stuff. Like he would have like a peacock like on their head or something, and it was like very similar style to me. He got in a lot of trouble in China for his photography.
Oh man.
Yeah, he's one of them. And then more recently, Gregory Crewdson. Do you know who that is? No? Okay. Well, you should look into him. He's a really cool dude.
You're making me look so bad. It's like, man, this host really needs to improve his...
No, every time I ask someone, they don't know who it is. But it's funny because I feel like he's really famous now.
Nice.
But he is a photographer, but he works on a crew with like 30 people to create one image. So it's kind of set up the way that you would film a movie. Like there's a bunch of different people doing things, and they just try to make like a photo extremely cinematic, like it's a shot from a movie, and it's really cool. And he's definitely my biggest inspiration lately. I've been like leaning towards cinematic shots.
Okay, groovy, and nice. So maybe to wrap up, let's just talk about photography and whatnot, because we've talked about it as art, but it's also I don't know, just very like beautiful, the idea that like, just looking at old photos of yourself and like, sort of capturing a memory, whether or not like they're always true, you could like see yourself smiling in a photo, but then remember like, oh, I wasn't actually happy, I was kind of sad or whatever. And do you look at photography in that sort of like sentimental way? Do you look at it emotionally at all? Like, aside from your work, like, do you look at photography in that sense at all?
Yeah, actually I use...
If that makes sense what I'm asking.
No, it does. That's why I kind of brought this, because I use like a bunch of my childhood photos like in my art today. Like I'll transform them into pictures today. So I definitely use a lot of old stuff. I think they carry a lot of weight.
Yeah, and why am I choking up right now? It's like, that's really cool. Okay, groovy. Well, thank you so much for sharing all that with me. That's pretty cool. I feel a lot more closer to you. I know the audience does. Yeah, just keep doing your thing. You're an amazing photographer. I can't wait to see your future work. That being said, do you feel like recommending some stuff to the audience now, dude?
Yes. Okay.
Yay!
I have a list.
All right, cool. And so do I. My little piece of paper with half of the artist misspelled. All right, cool.
Okay.
All right, cool. So the way it works is pretty simple. We're going to go one at a time. So 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6. 6 total. And,
6. I only got 5.
Girl, you better think of one real quick. It's all good. If you don't, we'll do something in post. But
okay.
Alrighty. Hello, audience of Conversations with Aaron. Sinea and I are now going to recommend some stuff to y'all. Today I have... Okay, I have 5 songs technically and 2 films. I know it's like, hey Aaron, that's 7, that's not 6, but I'll explain it or whatever. So the first song I want to recommend is one I actually recommended last week. This song is so good, I needed to recommend it twice because it's just amazing. It's That's Where I Am by Maggie Rogers. Last week I had mentioned that I had listened to it about like 200 times. Since then it's doubled, so I'm probably at like 400, 420, something like that. But I cannot stress this enough. This song is immaculate. It is so good. The production on it is ridiculous, and her vocals are amazing. The chorus, I think it's the chorus, is just so catchy and beautiful. And my goodness, I hope I meet Maggie Rogers someday when I get famous in music. But yeah, that's my first recommendation, and I promise it's the last time I'll recommend it, maybe. But yeah, what is your first recommendation, Sinea?
Okay, I will do a song. I've been listening to a lot of Fiona Apple lately.
Nice.
If you don't know Fiona Apple, it's very, very sad girl music. It's like, yeah, like Mitski sad.
Nice.
Anyway, there's a song by her. It's called I Want You to Love Me. Very good song. Heart-wrenching song. A lot of my recommendations today are going to be heart-wrenching.
It's all good.
But yeah, it's a really intense song. You should listen to it.
Nice, yeah. I'm kind of aware of Fiona Apple. Is that a more recent song or is it an older song?
I feel like all of her music is definitely like 20 or 30 years old.
Oh,
Yeah.
Well, I just know Criminal, I think. That's her, right?
Yeah.
Criminal? Yeah. See, I'm basic. That's like the one song I know. But thank you for that. It's a lovely recommendation. I appreciate it. All right. My second recommendation, I'm going to cheat out a little bit, like I said. These two songs both feel the exact same way to me. They make me feel the same emotions. So rather than having them be separate, I was like, yeah, let me just pair them together. So the first of the two is Sidelines by Phoebe Bridgers. And I'm going to be real, I didn't know anything about this artist, Phoebe Bridgers, up until like a couple of months ago. She had a concert locally, and it seemed like damn near everybody I know like went to it. And I was like, hey, yo, let me check out this Phoebe Bridgers. And I did, and I came across this song, and it's beautiful. It's very sad and sort of heart-wrenching, and the sort of, not drum, but I guess it's like a digital drum sound, I don't know. But when that kicks in, it's perfect. Related to it, the second song in the second recommendation that I have is Two Slow Dancers by Mitski. I saw Mitski live in 2019, and she performed this. I cried. I didn't realize I was crying until the song ended, and then I was like, yo, why is my face feeling chilly? And then I was like, oh, yo, I'm crying. Like, there were tears all over me, and I don't know. It's a song that really resonates with me, you know, because of stuff I've gone through. And again, nothing's ever going to compare to sing it live. Like, you know, that was the first time I ever heard it. But the album version, you know, I can listen to it and, you know, feel all those same emotions. It's just as good. But yeah, so Sidelines by Phoebe Bridgers and Two Slow Dancers by Mitski. Excellent songs. If you just want to have a good cry, there aren't any better songs to do it. Unless Sinea recommends one that's better. But yeah, what is your second recommendation?
Mitski effect. Okay, my second one is a show. It's called Fleabag. Have you seen Fleabag?
I've heard of it.
I can't remember her name. I feel like it's Phoebe Waller or something.
In post, I'll have it go ding, and the name will pop
right
up. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, no, she created the show or directed it, and it's 2 seasons. It's a very short show on Amazon. But basically, it just like goes from a person who's a little bit self-destructive to like taking control over like her own healing.
Nice.
But it's like really funny. It's called like a depression comedy or something.
Oh, nice.
There's like a really iconic love story in the second season with her and a priest. We'll have you crying for sure.
Oh my, and a priest. That is amazing.
This is my highest recommendation. Fleabag. Yes.
Fleabag. You said it's only 2 seasons?
2 seasons. But you have to like, you can't judge it off the first season. You have to see the second season because they're like different.
Pretty different. Okay, cool. So you said it's like well, you said depression comedy, so like comedy drama sort of thing?
Yeah.
And then, okay, groovy. All right, you heard it, folks. Check out Fleabag. Thank you for that. There's so many damn TV shows. Like, man, I can't. I have like a list of like 80 that I'm like behind on, and like, yeah, a lot of good stuff or whatever. So I need to watch more stuff, and perhaps I'll start with Fleabag. Thank you for that. Groovy. Well, speaking of depressing things, the third thing I want to recommend is a film that went really under the radar. I'll be surprised if you've heard of it. It's called Vox Lux, starring Natalie Portman. Have you heard of it? Yeah. Again, how like it's a Natalie Portman film, but when it's really under the radar. I guess, you know, a little description. Natalie Portman plays a pop star. You know, kind of. I don't want to say aging or whatever, but you know, she was like a teenage pop star, and you know, that's sort of like, you know, the first half of the movie, and then you know you see her when she's Natalie Portman, you know, older, and you know she's a lot more cynical and sort of nihilistic and kind of mean. But I'm not gonna lie, I mean, first off, I love Natalie Portman next to Jodie Foster. She's like my favorite actress. I think this is like her best performance. I know she won an Oscar for like Black Swan, but like no. Like Vox Lux is like where it's at. Like she's amazing in it. Trigger warning, I'm not gonna lie, I went into this movie not knowing what it was. The opening like 10 minutes scared the hell out of me. You know, it's something involving like a school or whatever, so I'll just leave it at that as, you know, to not spoil it. But yeah, it's a pretty dark movie, just the themes it has. Like, it's not a horror movie by any means, but just the sort of the like themes of like terrorism and just, you know, the sort of cynical nature of like stardom. It's really well illustrated, and Natalie Portman gives what I think is like her best performance. People will probably find her unlikable, but it's like that's the point of the character. So like I don't get it. The ending I'm kind of not a fan of. I think it goes on like it makes its point and then goes on for like an extra 15 minutes. But aside from that, it's an amazing film in my opinion, and do check it out if you feel like being scared for a little bit and just kind of being like depressed or whatever. Man, depression is really running through this episode, isn't it?
I was thinking about that.
You know?
I was thinking about that.
But yeah, Vox Lux, check it out. And yeah, what is your third recommendation?
Okay, another show, Russian Doll.
Ooh.
Yeah, I can't remember her name.
Is that a Netflix show or is that?
Yeah, it's with she was in Orange is the New Black. She has like the big red hair. Sasha Leone or something?
Oh, Natasha Leone.
Yes.
Yeah. Like,
so sorry.
Yeah, no, you're
for
good.
the disrespect.
Yeah. Forgive me.
But yeah, I think there's 2 seasons also. I just finished it the other day. I didn't really like know the point of Russian Doll until I got to the end, and then it all like tied it together. But it's like this girl who's kind of stuck in a time loop in the first season. And then the second season, she, like every time she takes a train, she goes back in time. And when she goes back in time, she ends up like embodying her mother and like living through her mother's like memories.
Yeah.
And she keeps thinking that she can alter time to like make the future better because her mother died. So she keeps like trying really hard to like change a bunch of things. And like in the process, you know, she learns that, you know, you have to like accept the way that everything has happened because it happened the way that it's supposed to.
Dang.
And then in the very end, there's like this question that her mom asks her that brought on a bunch of tears, but because she like rejected her mom for so long. But in the end, you know, she says, if you could do it all over again, would you choose me as your mother? It's a really good ending.
That's very poignant. Oh my goodness. Russian Doll. Russian Doll, right? That's what it's called. Damn.
Trippy show too.
Trippy show. Oh, yeah, I dig it. Goodness, I'm kind of like at a loss for words or whatever. You describing that sounds like. How long was it? You said
2 seasons. It's a really short show.
Dang, that's a common thing, man. Like just like 2 seasons, right?
2 seasons and then taking it away forever.
That's groovy. Thank you for that. That's amazing. Do check it out, please. Russian Doll. That's quite amazing. Okay, cool. And actually, so that's our third recommendation right now. We are going to continue and give our final 3 recommendations, but I believe we're going to take a quick station break if y'all don't mind. So stick around. I promise we're not going to go away forever. It's literally going to be like 30. Well, when you watch this episode, it's going to be like a quick cut or whatever. But yeah, stick around and we'll give our final 3 recommendations. Boop. I mean, the whole thing basically is it's really stupid. I mean, I don't deal with it. And we're back. Sorry about that, folks. Alrighty, so we're on our 4th recommendation, right? All right, cool. The 4th thing I want to recommend is a film that I referenced last episode. One of my all-time favorite movie-going experiences was watching this film. It just kind of blew me away. The pure cinema of it was beautiful. It's Little Women from 2019, directed by Greta Gerwig. I love this movie so much. Just the staging and blocking and just how Greta Gerwig let the story breathe and take its time. I mean, I think it's like a little over 2 hours if I'm not mistaken, but the fact that she didn't win an Oscar for at least like best original, she wasn't even nominated for best director, I don't think, and she didn't win a best screenplay. That Taika Waititi, whatever, the Jojo Rabbit guy, he won, which, you know, no disrespect, even though I just insulted him, but this screenplay was just amazing. The way she went back and forth, you know, from the past and present and future was just great. And, you know, I've seen the 1994 adaptation of Little Women, but I don't know, this one I just loved, and it was just such a great, you know, I don't know, when I watch films nowadays, rarely do they ever do anything for me, but this one it really did, and just being in the theater, watching it on the big screen, I'm like, this is what the big screen was meant for, because, you know, you don't have to like go to the theater and watch like an action movie to experience like, you know, cinema, or like to get the most of that big screen. You can watch just an intimate drama like this, and Greta Gerwig knocked it out of the park. It was an amazing film. So yeah, if you have some time, grab a little box of tissues, you know, it's a little tearjerker, and check out Little Women from 2019. You won't regret it, I hope. And what is your fourth recommendation?
Okay, I feel like this is kind of a popular opinion right now, but
Nothing wrong with that.
have to recommend it because it's definitely worth seeing. I've already told you should see it. Everything, Everywhere, All at Once.
Ah, yes, yes.
I don't exactly know how to explain it. It's very hard to explain. It's about like multiple realities, multiple universes, and this main character, the mom, like every time she makes a weird decision, she can like transport herself into like a different life that she's lived. So kind of like Russian Doll, it kind of ties together like all the different versions of yourself that you can be, and like how everything is connected. I definitely cannot do this movie justice, but it's a very touching like mom and daughter story as well.
Good, nice. It's amazing. And yeah, those directors are the ones who made that Swiss Army Man or something, I think.
I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, I haven't seen it either, but apparently. I have seen their music video for Turn Down for What? Dean showed me, and I was like, yo, okay, yeah, I get it. These people are filmmakers. Okay, cool. But yeah, I wanted to see it. I just never got around to it. Yeah, you saw it in theaters, right?
In theater. I had to go twice.
Oh, you
I
saw it
think
twice?
the first time you see it, it's like so fast paced, you can't like process all of it. But the second time you see it, it's like much more easy to
Resonated
process.
a lot
Yeah.
more? Okay, good.
But it's funny, it's sad, it's happy, it's everything.
All at once.
All at once.
So it's Everything, Everywhere, All at Once? That's what it's
Yes.
called? All right, groove. Yeah, I need to check it out, dude. Hopefully I'll check maybe, I don't know if it's on Blu-ray yet or whatever, but I'll check it out. But unless it deserves to be seen on the big screen, then
It
I will check.
deserves to be seen on the big screen.
All right, cool. I'm going to do
Sure.
a PCE at Alamo. Get that? No one else will be invited, just me or whatever in the middle. Order card like that. Okay, cool. Thank you so much for that. Yeah, I've heard great things about it, so thank you for recommending that to the audience and me. Now, the fifth thing I want to recommend is a song. It's Sparks by Beach House. Yeah, this song has me feeling some type of way when I heard it. I'm a decently big fan of Beach House or whatever. Yeah, a lot of their songs I really dig, and this song I don't know. I was debating putting some other songs or whatever, but this one, just every time I listen to it, it literally feels like I'm being taken on a journey of sorts, where I'm like able to like reflect on my life and just think about everything that's led up to the point where I am now. And it's few songs really do that for me, but this one does, and it does it exceptionally well. And it's just so great. The structure of it is kind of amazing. Just it repeats itself, but at the same time, it never feels like it's becoming tedious. It just feels so naturally organic, the way it flows and whatnot. And look at my little hand, it looks so nice. And yeah, I guess similar to Everything, Everywhere, All at Once and all of our other recommendations, I can't do this justice. Just check it out, preferably in the dark, just with some nice headphones or whatever, and just stare up into the ceiling and you'll see your future. That's a line from the film Almost Famous, which will be a recommendation soon. Cool, thank you. And what is your fifth recommendation, Sinea?
My last one is a happy one, thank God.
Nice.
Just a song, Baltimore by Nina Simone. It's a classic. It's a very nice, upbeat, happy song. If you want to have like a good walk in the park in the sun, it's definitely a good song to listen to.
Did groovy. Hey, that was a nice way to wrap up. We have all this sadness or whatever, but then you knock it out of the park and become happy. Thank you for that. It's amazing. Alrighty, so my last recommendation, my sixth recommendation, is a song. It is Circle the... let me do that again. Circle the Drain by Soccer Mommy. it's so weird. When I first heard it, I was like, yo, man, that must have come out like in 1996 or something. It sounded very nostalgic to me. Color me shocked when I found out it only came out a few years ago. I was like, what? The production on it, is just so great. Like the way they were able to capture like a very sort of, I don't know, childhood feel, this sort of like sentimental thing. I mean, the song itself isn't like, a sad, depressing song. It's, it's sort of upbeat. It's pretty positive and whatnot, but just everything about it just takes me back to being like a little, like kind of 90s kid, I guess. I was born in 95, so I guess I was kind of a 90s kid, not really. But yeah, just such a great and lovely song, and just it never gets old for me. It always makes me feel happy, puts me in a good mood when I listen to it, and I hope it'll put you in a good mood if you decide to check this out. So yeah, check out Circle the Drain by Soccer Mommy. And yeah, I think that'll do it for our recommendations, right? You did your 5, I did my 6. And groovy. Well, thank you so much for that, Sinea. I think we're going to take a little break. And then, yes, another break. I'm sorry, that last break was unintentional. But yeah, we're going to take a little break, and then we're going to look at your work. Are you excited for that?
So excited.
I kind of believe that.
I meant it.
Yes. Awesome. Well, stick around, y'all. You aren't going to want to miss it. Thank you. Oop.
I did mean it.
Yeah.
I always sound really sarcastic.
You're good. And we're back. Thank you for sticking around. Alrighty, Sinea, so now we're going to look at some of your photos. I can't wait for this because, as you know, I'm a huge fan of you or whatever. So, yeah, we got our first image right here. So can you tell us a little bit about it? The context, when it was taken, where it was taken, if you don't mind us asking.
I think I took this in 2020, possibly 2021, at least a year or two ago.
Okay.
And that is my friend Julia.
I thought she looked familiar.
Yeah, most
awesome.
of the people that model are my friends.
Nice.
But yeah, this is just a little pond, and it was a tree that was about maybe 6 or 7 feet in the air.
Dang.
I had her climb like all the way from the back, I think, to get up there.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like she's balanced, but she's kind of like leaning on that tree branch right there.
Oh, kind of like to her right. Got it.
Yeah, but I like creating like really striking images of people doing weird things, and I also like the very like serious expression.
Yeah, and I mean, so much we can sort of dive into. So, I mean, first off, I want to ask, lens, what lens we're using, if you recall?
I usually just use a basic like 35 millimeter, I think.
35?
Yeah.
Solid. Okay, groovy. And so again, like, the pond, was this a spur of the moment, or did you like drive by this and you're aware of it? You're like, yeah, I'm gonna take a picture there someday, and it was set up, or was it like y'all were just hanging out and like, hey, Julia, go, and she's like, all right, bet, and she just climbed it. Like, how did you set it up?
It was a while ago, so I don't remember super well, to be
Yeah,
honest
it's all
with you. But I think I just really wanted to shoot at this. Oh, actually, what I wanted to do was shoot my friend in the water.
Mm-hmm. Actually inside?
Yeah, and
submerging
she
in
was
water?
going to, but she backed out at the last minute.
Mm-hmm.
So I had Julia step in, and Julia was willing to get on the tree. So
Shout out, Julia.
shout out to Julia.
Nice. And how did you direct her? How did you, she has a very striking look to her and whatnot. Was that her doing, or did you direct her in any way to like capture that? Because again, striking image, like the colors or whatever, just really great. So how did you direct your model?
When I get to like my set, I look at it kind of like it's a puzzle. And I pretty much come up with it like while I'm on the spot. And I do that by like me modeling first, pretty much. Like the actual model kind of watches me, and I like go around and like try different things. So I climbed up the tree first to show her that it was possible.
Nice.
And then I found the spot, and then I said, okay, how about you do this? And then she copied it.
Okay, groovy.
I don't know, I kind of just like put myself in the position, and I think, okay, this feels right, and then I go back and I capture the right angle.
Groovy. I respect that, by the way. You're like, hey, look, it's safe, y'all. Breaks, but
Yeah.
It's very nice of you. And how close was this to, or first off, like how many, I assume that wasn't just like a one and done. I assume you took quite a few or
There was
whatnot.
a few, yeah, maybe like 4 or 5 that we took out of this one.
Okay, groovy. And how close was it to like, because I assume like you have an image, like you have a vision in your head of what it's going to be, and then you see the final result. Was it pretty close to what you envisioned?
I think so, yeah.
Nice, really. Yeah, could have done this a little. Well, that's cool. And obviously we can see the use of the flash, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. And tell me about like any post work you do. I mean, if you use post work, I can't tell. It looks just pretty clean. It looks pretty natural. But is there more than meets the eye? Is there some little edits that you did, if you don't mind me asking?
Not really on this one. On this one, I kind of just tweaked the colors a little bit. Like I like to change the shade of the greens, and then I probably upped the contrast so that like the background was more dark, so she could be the focus.
Nice.
But I do end up changing a lot in scenes usually, but not really in this one.
Okay, groovy. Well, does this have a title, by the way? Like, do you title your photos?
This one is called "You Really Made Her Do That."
No, that's awesome.
Inspired by me having to present my work in class and someone asking me that, and humbling question.
I love how, like, as if that's the most, you made her like, it's like, okay.
I was like, what do you mean? Like, what do you mean I made her do that? Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. So you said you presented this like in a
Yeah.
scholarly setting or educational setting? Groovy. Good critiques?
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Of course, Aaron. Okay, cool. Thank you so much for that. Any closing statements on before we go to the next image?
I don't think so.
All right, groovy. Well, now we'll go to the second image, y'all. Let's check this out right quick. Woo! All right, groovy. I love it. So tell me about this one, if you can recall, like when and where was this taken?
This was definitely more recent. This was my graduating project. I had a bunch of photos with this model. Her name's Madison.
Shout out.
This was like leading towards my more like cinematic photos. Like I would have her play like different characters, like drunk housewife. Like I had her like with a hose, like watering herself and just like being strange. So that's why we've got her in her bath towel running on a golf course.
Nice.
She's going through it. She's going through mental breakdown a little bit.
Okay, groovy. You know, now I can kind of see that.
Yeah.
Now that's groovy. And same lens, I assume you said 35, so I assume you sort of use that all around. Okay, well, tell me about this. Like, it's an action shot, so I assume fast shutter speed, right? Because it doesn't look blurry at all. It looks pretty, like...
Yeah, most of my pictures are caught pretty quickly.
Bam. Okay, nice. And did she know that she was playing like a woman having a mental breakdown?
Yes.
Or was it sort of
Definitely.
like, you're like, run, and then she was like, okay, and then after?
We had been working on this for a few weeks. Like, there was also a video project out of it.
Ooh.
Yeah,
nice.
I did like a 8 projector like setup of like different scenes of like her doing different stuff.
Dang.
Like I had her like drenched in water, like on a rainy day, like holding foil up and laying out in the sun as if she was tanning, but like she was dripping wet and there was no sun, so like it just looked out of place.
Damn.
But yeah, I had her do stuff like that. So yeah, we were working on it for a while. We just wanted to make her look as insane as possible. We had her running around her neighborhood in a towel, got lots of weird looks. But we got to this golf course and I just said, okay, I just want you to take off running. And she said, okay.
That's groovy. And like, well, obviously that, I guess, I mean, that says a lot about both of y'all. One, that, you know, she'd be willing to do that, like, you know, just ride or die. That's awesome. And I guess says a lot about you that people are willing to like give themselves to you, like, I'll run, you know, in this little bath towel. That's pretty cool. Tell me about the experience of shooting. You mentioned people staring. Was it easy to do? Was it hard, challenging to like capture the sort of mental breakdown, the sort of cinematicness of it? Was this a hard project, in other words?
I don't think it was hard. It was definitely one of my favorite ones, though.
Yeah? Okay, nice.
I think something that's hard for people to overcome is definitely the people looking at them strangely. Kind of just have to get over that part because it's worth it for making cool art.
Nice. Are you over it?
Yeah, I'm over it.
Okay,
well,
nice.
Actually, I did just have to go into a gas station the other day with my friend like drenched in blood.
Yes.
That was a little bit embarrassing, but I did it.
It's all good. Okay, great. Well, absolutely lovely image. And that's a friend of yours, I assume? Okay, nice. Well, shout out to your friends, man. That's really important. You know, you start and then you grow your network. So very nice of them to do that. Any closing statements for this picture?
Nope.
All right, groovy. In that case, you ready to go to the next image?
Sure.
All right, groovy. Let's check this out right quick. Yeah, this is awesome. Okay, damn. So when did you take this photo?
So that's definitely one of my childhood photos. It's actually that's actually 3 of my childhood photos. 4. I'm finding even more. Okay, so the body is one photo, the face is another photo, and then around me is another photo. and then me watering myself is another photo.
Man, it's like the more you look at it, it's like, oh, the paper itself is, and I believe you actually have it right here too. Do you want to display that?
I brought the physical print.
Hey,
She's a little bit damaged, but we're just gonna ignore that.
Absolutely awesome. So tell me about this one, because earlier in the episode, flashback or whatever, I was mentioning, seeing a picture that sort of I thought was just kind of like funny and endearing, but then I thought about it, I was like, I don't know why I got emotional or sentimental. Tell me about this one, well, first off, let's break it down. So clearly it's a collage. So where did you get those pictures? Just like childhood photos?
Yeah, big album of me modeling as a child. Took a bunch from that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, groovy. And you put them together. Was this a school project at all, or?
It was, yeah.
Okay, awesome. And what were you going for with this? Were you trying to get an emotional reaction? Or again, I know earlier you said that I don't give a damn about the people. You're doing your own thing, but like, were you trying to like express something, like maybe not the people, but just like yourself? Were you going through something and you made it, like, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, there's a few more like this, but for these, I really wanted to focus on like self-growth.
Mm-hmm.
So it's titled Water Yourself. Yes.
That's awesome. It's brilliant.
There's lots of photos of me as a kid doing very happy things. I was like a very happy, sensitive child.
Great.
And I think this is a photo of me a little bit irritated, and this is a photo of me smiling, same day. So I like the phrase, like, laugh now, cry later.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely lived by that. So there's so many things to this photo.
Hey, feel free to share. Like, I'm all ears.
So I wanted to create like a planet of me. So I'm orbiting myself. So I've made myself like the center of my universe, and the little versions of me that are laughing and crying are rotating around myself.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's like a higher version of myself who's like feeding myself, like watering myself.
Nice.
Yeah, like a little plant.
Yeah, a little baby plant. That's brilliant. And then I'm just curious, like, do you remember do you actually remember having your picture taken like during any of these?
I don't remember these, but I definitely remember this one.
Yeah? Oh, care to share? What were you watering the grass? You were like, oh, I was working my 9 to 5 in the garden.
No, honestly, that's what it's like when you live in the country.
Oh, I did not know that. Nice.
Yeah, my dad lives in the middle of nowhere. So I was at my dad's house. He lives on a farm. Definitely had me outdoors, like mowing with giant tractors at 7 years old.
Little farmer tan and everything, straw hat.
Literally. So yeah, I was just watering our garden, happy as can be. Love being outside. That was definitely my place.
Did groovy. And so obviously, again, this being like a collage of sorts, right? Collage affair.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Tell me, like, was that physically cut out and you pasted, or did you do it like in post, like Photoshop or something? You just like took pictures, cut them out like that. Like, how was that done?
Yeah, I did this one digitally just because I didn't want to, cut any original photos.
Oh,
but I
smart,
think I would probably prefer to do like it physically.
Nice. Yeah, I'd be that one dumbass who like cuts everything. I'm like, oh, there's an easier way to do this. Everything's ruined.
Yeah,
okay.
I just scanned them.
Nice. Okay. Well, great. Very lovely image. And I'm just curious. Can we expect to see more work like this? Like, do you enjoy playing with like photos and like kind of like, I guess also sort of like a mosaic or whatever, taking a bunch of different things and putting them together? Can we expect more things like that, or was it just sort of like a
Definitely. I have so many different styles, which is why I never know how to like describe my work. Like I have like this collage style. I use like childhood photos. Then I do the cinematic stuff. Then I do there's so many things.
Yeah,
so yeah,
nice.
Definitely more of this.
Okay. Well, I love it, dude. Great. I mean, all these photos I love. This one especially, just adorable. Great. You ready to go to the next image?
Yeah.
All right, Groovy, let's check out the next one right quick. Now this one. Okay, so tell me, are these lyrics? Is it a letter? Did you write it? Did someone else write it? Like what are we looking at?
This is my favorite piece of all time.
Nice.
And I never get to talk about it. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Years from now on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, when you're all famous, like they're gonna have a question. What is Sinea's favorite pictures? It's gonna be this one, so y'all better remember this is gonna be the $1 million question, y'all. All right, so yeah, tell us about it.
Okay, so there's a story behind this. This is a letter written by an ex-boyfriend. Very sentimental. So
nice.
When we were together, like he was a writer, and I always wished that he would like write me letters because I love letters. And he never did. We ended up breaking up. It was a good breakup. We're still friends.
Nice.
But to like seal our breakup, he finally wrote me a letter. It was the most beautiful letter I've ever received in my entire life. I don't know how someone could make a letter that good, but he did, and he left it on my car. And I read it, and I was like, this is the best thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I have to keep it safe. So I was thinking about where I could put it, and I put it like in the middle console of my car. I was like, it's not gonna get damaged here. But my hand sanitizer exploded all over the letter and destroyed it. And I was really upset. But after taking a really good look at it, I saw that it kind of created a new story with all of the words being blocked off. I feel like it might be kind of corny if I try to spell out the story for you, but
Nothing wrong with that, dude.
It's really just kind of like the sentences in the middle. But I can't forget the light, the kindness that you share, your nurturing and caring nature. And then it kind of moves on to here. I'll always feel sad you weren't comfortable. To let you know how much I really needed you. So I guess I was scared. And then it moves down to the end here and it says, to take to know, love ends, tears people apart, how our first reaction is always to leave.
Damn.
I think it makes a really cool story.
It's groovy, and obviously something very poignant about it is that you probably, I mean, maybe you don't remember the exact words, but like it's exclusive to you, so it's something that only you and him will know. And that's great. And is this something that you exhibit? Is that, because obviously it's very personal and emotional and whatnot, I assume. Like, is it like you get what I'm saying? Like, is it just like too close to you, or like is it something that like you exhibit and show?
I'm definitely a fan of exploiting all of my personal stuff. So I have
it. Choice of words.
I'm pretty sure if he sees this, he's gonna freak out probably, but no one knows it's about him.
You get a
so
YouTube strike, like what?
But no, I have it printed and framed in my house. I have 2 of them.
Nice.
And yeah, I definitely would like to show it more.
Yeah, groovy. And I mean, just the great thing about it, it transcends like photography. This is, I mean, it's obviously photography still, but it's sort of like its own little art thing, and it is very emotional, and that's really great. And so much I can just talk about is just kind of like really great. And how long ago was this?
He wrote this letter for me in 2019 going into 2020.
Okay, nice.
And I didn't make anything out of it until 2021.
Okay.
I scanned it, I changed the colors a little bit, I sealed it in like plastic little saran wrap stuff. I don't know.
Okay.
So that's why it's
is that kind of like glistening?
Yeah. So it's forever protected in plastic.
Damn, if only could have done that before those.
I know.
No,
He actually had it all written down in his notes app, so he sent me over like what the letter said. So thank God.
Recreate it. Using state-of-the-art technology, we were able to recreate it. It's like a stick figure drawing.
Yeah.
Okay, well that's really great. And last thing I want to ask about it. So you said you wrote it like 2019 going to 2020, and then a year later you decided to like do something with that. And I'm just curious, like, to hear your take on when you have an idea. Do you sort of let it marinate and just grow, or do you sort of jump on immediately, or are you more in tune with like let me develop this and just see how it comes over time? And do you see a difference between the two if you do both? And hopefully that makes sense what I'm asking.
If I try to marinate on an idea, it'll never happen. The motivation, like the new spark motivation, kind of dies down.
Yeah.
So as much as I love to plan something for a long time, I've noticed that it's best to start as soon as I feel inspired to. And I'll just keep working on it from there. Keep the momentum going.
Nice. And well, last thing to wrap up with this. In 2021, how did you come across like, I want to do something with this? Perhaps you already answered this. I'm like, wait.
I took a really weird class. I can't remember what it was called, with Kathy Lovas, if anyone goes to UNT. She's like 70 or 80 years old, purple hair, very quirky lady. She likes doing like alternative processes.
Cool. Okay, so these are good words about her. I was about I'm not to bleep out her name.
I love her. She's the best.
Nice.
So yeah, it was alternative processes. So like different ways of creating photos. So she had like lots of scanning and just doing weird stuff.
damn, but that was an easy A plus then.
Yeah,
Easy.
people were passing around like my little plastic like covers and reading it. It was cool.
Did awesome, great. Well, thank you so much for sharing not just the photo, which is very beautiful, but just the story behind that. I really appreciate you willing to open up. Thank you so much for that. Ready to go to the next image?
Yeah.
All right, let's check out the next image from Sinea.
Stop.
No. All right, well, so tell me about this. It's behind the scenes of Ari Aster's next hit film. No, this is pretty cool. Again, The Flash, it is friends of yours, I assume, The Flash, like dominating the blood and whatnot. Like, dang, like where do we start with this? What was the idea when you took this?
So
Or what were you
I
going for?
have actually been planning this shoot for 2 months. Me and the model have been working together to write the whole story. It's like a 3-part shoot, but the idea was a girl who has a really fun time on her own is like free on her own, and then when she gets to a party, dissociates, has social anxiety, feels like she kind of doesn't belong. So we wanted to shoot her at a party inside of a skate bowl with like 30 people around her, and they're all doing their own thing, and she's the only one who's standing out. And we've got the blood on her because I guess it represents, the things she's going through.
Okay,
but
makes her
that,
stand out.
yeah, that was inspiration. This was just a random shot that we took from it. We didn't have a lot of the people in it, but I still liked it, all the spaced out.
Yeah, like just your camera, it's a full frame.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, yeah, just because the amount of detail is able to capture seems so vast or whatever. The little skate pole or whatever, it's really great. And tell me about, she's covered in blood. Like how was that? How was that? Was it? I mean, obviously, again, I assume everybody like pretty much trusts you or whatever. But like, how was that? Did y'all just dump some blood? Did y'all have to like redo the blood? Like, how was that?
It was awesome.
Yeah, that's great to hear.
I went to a like stage makeup store, like they do makeup for like movies and stuff, and I asked them for some realistic blood for like a carry dump, and they were like, we got you. So I bought a really expensive bottle of blood. I thought we were gonna use like half of it. We used maybe this much, and it was like all over her. I recorded the whole thing, so there's like tons of video footage. We dumped it on her. She was immediately blind, but she's a trooper, so it was really funny. So she, just took a moment and like shook it off, and like in the video, like she looks like she just crawled out of the woods. Like it's much scarier than this.
Yeah.
She had to like wipe it off because it burned a little bit, and then we just got to shooting.
Nice. Okay. And how long was this entire shoot? Couple of takes. And what was this the only setup, or were there multiple setups with this staging?
There was a bunch of different things that we tried. We were here for this specific one for maybe 4 hours, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, about 4 hours.
Dang. Okay, groovy. And so obviously I want to ask, like, intentional, right? Like, part of your directing, like, she's in red, which I assume is a red dress. It wasn't white and then turned red because of all the blood. Red, they're in black. Intentional choice by you?
Yeah, I wanted everyone else to kind of be the same, and then just her to be the one who stands out.
Okay, groovy. And you mentioned this is like a 3-part story. Is it finished, or is it still like a work in progress?
We're probably going to add a little more to it, but it's almost finished. I'll probably show it in a show.
Nice. Okay, groovy. Damn, that's going to be awesome, dude.
Thanks.
Just in time for October. Oh, no, 5 months away. Okay, well, more about it. You coming up with the idea and whatnot, like how close was this to matching what you initially thought of? Was it pretty close? Was there some things that went better than you expected, went different than you expected?
We were both having mental breakdowns the entire way to the shoot. I won't lie to you. Because we had like so much invested in this. We had gotten together about 25 people to be extras, and everyone canceled 1 hour before the shoot.
Seems about right.
Yeah. And we kind of had a deadline because we were going to show it in like a show. So none of the people showed up. So like all of our plans that we had written out for like months, we couldn't do it. So when we got there, we were like, okay, it's fine. Like it's not going to be what we expected, but we have to reevaluate the situation and we have to do something else.
Yeah.
So that's kind of why she's not like stuck in the crowd of people. So yeah, we just kind of improvised.
And I want to ask about that because something, that's happened to me many times or whatever. You know, I think cast and crew, it's all good. 30 seconds before we're about to roll, oh, we don't actually have a camera. Like, what? Like, you know, but what I've noticed when things happen, like, yes, it is very stressful, but when you're able to get whatever you need to done, and once you emerge from it, like, sometimes it ends up being better, or obviously different, and, you know, you're always going to be like, man, what if everything went right? But, you know, there is something cool about, like, you know, it changing or whatever, because, you know, you're so focused on what you're envisioning, so then you're never able to, like, truly capture it, in my opinion. So when you change it, it's suddenly fresh and it's new and it can be exciting. Did you experience that in any way? Because obviously, you know, yeah, it's not like 30 people, yeah, you know, a lot more, but it's still striking. This is not a bad image at all. It's striking. It's enchanting. It's, well, not enchanting. It's terrifying. But you get what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So did you find other things to take from this, like, in a positive way that, you know, maybe weren't in the original incarnation?
Yeah, once we got past, like, the hysterical mental breakdown, our mental breakdowns are funny. They're not, like, sad. They're, like, two people deliriously laughing. So,
okay.
But no, once we took a break, we had a snack, came back to it.
Nice.
This is the most fun that I've had in a long time. Like, even if the photos didn't come out to be, like, what I planned, it was really fun. We have, like, a lot of behind the scenes footage. And then also, actually, in this picture, since we were talking about, like, manipulation earlier, there were actually people all over this picture, but I erased them. I took them out of the photo, and I just left them.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, that's pretty fascinating, you know, going from, like, oh, we don't have enough people to, like, I'm going to take these people out of that. It's pretty cool.
Well, because it wasn't enough, but it was also, I don't know, there wasn't, like, a happy medium, so I just erased some of them.
Nice. And something I want to ask before we go to, like, the last image is, so these models and whatnot, obviously friends of yours, man, it's so nice to have friends. I wish I had some. Like, do they get anything from it? Like, obviously, because, you know, you're the artist, you're the photographer, so, like, you know, they're doing it for you. But are they just friends, or are they models too, like, trying to, like, work on their resume? Like, I don't know how it works. Like, I don't. Like, do they gain anything from it? Like, are they into? Yeah.
So it depends on the situation, but for the most part, like, they get to add it to their portfolio for whoever they are. Like, Maddie, for example, the model, like, this is part of, like, her creative direction, like, portfolio, if she wanted to use it that way. Sometimes, like, when I work with musicians, you know, they get to use those photos for their headshots or whatever, and then I get to keep them for my portfolio. Nice. So lots of, like, give and take, trading. But for the most part, it's, like, a lot of collaborating, just because I really like working with a bunch of people.
Okay, groovy. Well.
Yeah, but sometimes I bribe them with stuff. Like, when I did a music video and I gave them free suits. Yeah. Free pantsuits.
Oh, man, nice. You're like, hey, I need those back, bro. I need to return them to Sears. Like,
no, seriously.
Awesome. Well, amazing, striking image. Haunting. That was the word I was looking for. Haunting, not enchanting. Enchanting. Does this one have a name?
Not yet.
Any working titles that you're able to share with us, or would you rather just not?
It's definitely going to be something funny.
Something funny. Ooh.
Something funny about the people canceling.
Oh, that's 25 or something like that. Okay, awesome. Well, what was the last one called, by the way? The letter. That one.
This belongs to you.
This belongs to you. Groovy. That sounds like a Phoebe Bridges song. Like, yeah. That's awesome. Thank you so much for sharing it.
Thank you.
Are you ready to go to the last image now? All right, bam. Let's check out the last photograph from Sinea. Nice. Who's that?
That's me.
That's you. That's awesome. Me. Okay, tell me about it. Obviously, this is interesting. It's flipped now. You are the model. Do you do that often? Oh.
Every now and then.
You're like, yeah, like, oh, end of show credits.
Well, just because sometimes when you can't get people to do what you're envisioning, you just got to do it yourself. So I did. I rented out one of the studios here with the white background, and I am wearing literally nothing except for a bandana and a wig.
Nice.
And when you make it like a negative, it just makes it all one color, so that's why it was cool.
That's groovy. And are you like, do you have a photographer doing it, or are you like self-timer? Like, how is that?
It was definitely me alone for an hour.
Okay.
There's a lot more of these, and it's called Evil Twin is the series.
Evil Twin, nice.
So it's kind of like me battling another version of myself.
Okay.
Yeah, I like this one just because like the eye is kind of menacing.
Yeah, it is very menacing and whatnot, and it's definitely an evil twin if I'd ever have to guess. But tell me about it. So, are those two different pictures, or is that the same one just zoomed in? Like, how did you get this composition?
Two different pictures. With this entire series, I just like constantly messed around with everything. But yeah, two different pictures, and like I was just constantly like inverting one, inverting the other, and then changing the colors because it created like different results the more you changed the inverting colors. So I did that until I liked the composition, and I did this for maybe 13 photos.
Okay, groovy. And you mentioned the idea of like, no one else can do it. By golly, I'm gonna do it myself. Did you try this with anybody else, or was it always you from the start?
I didn't try it with anyone else, but I want to continue it with someone else.
Yeah. Okay. Groovy.
Yeah, because some of them like ended up looking kind of like zodiac signs the way that I framed them. Like there's this one of like me laying down and kind of like holding my knees a little bit, and like I put another me on top of myself, like flipped, and it looks like the Cancer symbol.
Ooh.
And then I've got another one where it's like two of me like standing on both sides, and it looks like the Gemini symbol for twins.
Nice.
So yeah, I started making like a zodiac.
Was that intentional, or did that happen? Like just like you were like, oh, that kind of looks.
Do it naturally, but you always find out that it's intentional later.
Okay, groovy. Dang, that's poignant, bro. That's gonna be like Socrates as a thing, and then Sinea. You always find out later. That's pretty groovy. You mentioned zodiac signs. That's pretty interesting. Are you into that stuff? Like, does that somehow find its way in your work? Because I know, well, I'm a Capricorn, therefore it means like my life is meaningless, nobody likes me, and I'm ugly or something.
I don't think so.
You're like, that's true, but like, yeah, like that's sort of, I know that's a certain type of thinking. Like, does that find its way in your photos or in your day-to-day life at all?
Day-to-day life a lot, yeah. I think it's interesting to learn about. This one series is the only time it's really been relevant. I guess in this one, you know, I kind of did the planet thing. I like planets a lot.
Okay, cool. Subconsciously, you're like, my zodiac needs to come out, and then planet.
But I relate to my one Gemini placement a lot. It's like duality, like two completely opposing versions of yourself. Like Gemini's very adaptable, so the sign Gemini inspired like this entire shoot.
Okay.
So that's why I made it like my evil twin. And then like throughout the shoot, that's when I started like seeing that I can make other zodiac signs.
Okay, groovy. And just want to ask or whatever. It's probably a silly question, but I'm always curious about it because evil twin. You like, was it strictly an artistic choice, or like were you going through like some self-identity crisis and then you decided to make it? Like, what was it, strictly an art origin, or was there more to it? Was there a more humane, I don't know, or like a more emotional tie to how you came to create this?
Definitely
project?
A lifelong identity crisis, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Having a Gemini placement is confusing because I feel like I said, you can have so many different perspectives that you don't really know how you feel about things. Like, I can say one opinion confidently and I can fully believe it, but I could also believe the exact opposite of that at the same time. So it's kind of like that dilemma of the two parallels existing and being kind of confusing.
Nice. Shout out to all the fellow Gemini listeners. Like, oh, you speak as Sinea. That's awesome. That's cool. Like, I'm very ignorant towards all that stuff, so that's really just fascinating. Genuinely, like, I do find it fascinating. I'm not trying to be like a kiss up or whatever, suck up. But thank you so much for sharing that. Any closing statements on this?
Another example of like the contrast is like I did 2 self-portraits of like my face. I did one where like I thought I looked really good, and then I did one where I thought I looked really horrible. I looked pretty scary. So that was like an example, and I like kind of multiplied my face, and I'm like smiling, and it's creepy. So yeah. Nice.
Okay. Well, that's kind of the last question we'll kind of end on. Are you like, I mean, because you modeled, like, are you able to like just sort of go for it, and like, do you like, because some people would probably be like, oh, I don't want to look all weird with my smile, like, but you, it just seems like you're brave. You're like, no, I'll do it. Like, yo, like
I said, gotta exploit myself.
Oh man, that's.
If I look bad, that's fine.
Good. Okay. All right. Fair play. Tip my hat to you. All right. Well, thank you so much. I think that's our last image. I've loved all these pictures. I know our audience will too. Thank you so much for that. I just want to ask now, what's in the what's in store for you, like near future, far future? Yeah, care to speak about that?
Definitely gonna try to continue the carry shoot.
Nice.
And then I think I would really like
The carry shoot, I love that.
yeah, I think I would definitely like to do a short film. I've been working with that model a lot, Maddie. So I think we're probably gonna work on something together,
Okay.
film wise.
Nice. Well, keep an eye out for that, folks. It's going to be pretty groovy, I assume. And well, thank you so much for Sinea for being interviewed, for the recommendations, for showing off your work. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. Any last words to the audience before we wrap up?
Thank you for listening. If you've made it this far.
All right, cricket. All right, well, thank you so much again for being on. And yeah, folks, I think this is going to end it for this episode. Check out Sinea's work. You're not going to regret it. And we'll see you guys next time. Boop. You're perfect.
Oh my God.
Cool.